All right. Hey, folks, we are going to do some artwork tonight for an upcoming adventure that we're creating for Dungeon Masters Guild. It's an Eberron campaign. It's 8th level. It's called Crystals on the Bar. And let me check my signal here, make sure I'm coming through clear. If I am, I will go through my intro spiel, and then we'll walk through what's going on and get to work. So we got maybe 100 some odd minutes or so, however long it is we want to play. Mic check, 1, 2, 3. However long it is. All right, sounds like I'm going through okay. So let's hit that. I'm going to boost my signal across the Discord channels that I hang out on. If you know where I'm at on Eberron, on Discord, Eberron channel, Spelljammer channel, Indestructible blog, Durzazad's channel, Treant Monk, Dungeoneers Pack, the DMsGuild network, Drive-Thru RPG Hub. Where else am I at? Fry Minis and Zipperon and Disney Zipperon and Wally DM and Dungeons and Dragons Discord core. All right, so that's all of my Discord boosts. I've also posted that I'm live on Twitter. So if you want to get notification of when I'm live, you certainly can by following me. If you're still on the platform, on Twitter, X, at Phil Kearney. And let's get this out of the way. And hey, let's see. We're at currently episode 180 of this stream. So like, subscribe, hit the bell icons. Wait for you to get more notifications that I'm live in the future to help support the growth of the channel. Hey, we got new people today. 240. Thank you. We are trying to climb to 500 as our first major milestone for us to continue building our way up. I create role-playing game supplements. I illustrate them. I publish them online. I focus my attention on Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition. There are a slew of links in the description down below to previous work that I've created. There's free previews for everything that's in there. If you're an art enthusiast, there's probably about 150 different unique illustrations in there. And if you search for my name as an artist on DMsGuild.com, you'll find about 100 different products that have my illustrations in it so far. Thanks a lot for everybody's support in picking up my stock art and using the resources that I'm placing both online as well as in the new year. We'll have stock art on Patreon as well if you're interested in that stuff. So you can click open underneath the book cover for each individual product page. It says full preview. On a mobile phone, there's an eye icon on the right hand side of the screen. So whether you're using an eye or you're clicking the full preview icon, it'll open up a PDF. You can read the entire document of anything that I've published. You'll see all the artwork in there. If you're a D&D fan, whether a DM or a player, I run 5e campaigns from level 1 to 20 in about 200 to 250-ish hours, and then start over a new campaign with my home table. I also run playtest teams anywhere from level 3 to 17 during testing to make sure that the stuff that I build works. Once we know that it works, we send it off to an editor. It publishes it. We build all the artwork here. We do layouts here. We do all the, like for the Crystals on the Bar, the last 169 episodes was us making creature tokens, maps, illustrations of different type of creature and plant effects for the manifest zone in the bar. We've invested a ton of time on it, and all that stuff is going to be in the adventure once we publish it, which will also be linked down below as a PDF that you can take a look at. So it's been a blast talking about the different design principles that go into each of the environments as we're creating them here on screen with you guys. This is the book cover we created back around episode 40, so you can jump into the Wayback Machine. I think I have the playlist here. Yeah, we have the full playlist now linked down here and below, so you can dive into any of that. It's like 400 hours of content, so enjoy. We're going to keep building it. We'll probably get to probably around episode 400 by the time we're done with this. So jump on board now. We're building creature tokens right now for different type of undead and bloodsucky, grossy, blech creatures. And so we're working on a Sturge right now, a giant half-bat, mosquito sort of bloodsucky, icky thing. So we're just going to doodle this guy out, and when he feels done, we'll just move on to the next token. Looks like we have whites, a living grave, which is like the word I'm looking for is a gauntlet style, like Gauntlet, the video game Gauntlet, how there's monster generators. A living grave is basically a monster generator that is usually submerged in water, so you can't really have eyes on the whole thing at any given time. So you really don't know how many bodies are fused into this mass, but the narrative is that it peels off a piece of itself and it just goes lumbering after you as either a crystal encoded long dead or a white, or a ghoul. And so you got paralyzy, stabby, icky, chewy, resist death sort of things coming at you in this manifest zone that is just the essence of the plane of undeath, darkness, and things that go bump in the night, which is the plane of Mabar in the Eberron setting. So the whole shtick here is that your team may or may not know this going into the story, depending on what your plot line is, that what your reasons are for being in the adventure in the first place. There's 6 different reasons, and one of them knows exactly what's going on. Another one kind of knows what's going on. 2 of them know there's something wrong, but they don't know what. And then 2 of them have no idea what's going on. They just find out everything the hard way. So there's 6 different paths to lead into the adventure. And so what's going on is necromancers of the Emerald, the Emerald Claw cult of undead enthusiasts are attempting to permanize a manifest zone to the plane of Mabar, as just mentioned. The process of having a manifest zone, which is an overlay of realities. So you have both this plane of death, darkness, and demonage intersecting with a forest called the Carnwood in the northern nation of Karnath. So it fuses in space so things can move either way across the veil into or out of the plane of undeath. So they have intentionally created and maintained and strengthened the bond of this to the point where it will fuse permanently as just an open, basically like a black hole that leads into the plane of Mabar that things will come out of, including like the top tier shit that's in there are Ultralofts, which are the Yugoloths as a creature type, a type of demon-ish creature that's mostly like Cenobite nightmare fuel type stuff as opposed to being a devil or a demon. It's like Cenobite shit, like Clive Barker, pain wardens, as it were. So they're funky fun, and they like to crawl out from underneath your bed and snatch up and then flay your children. So cheers. They're trying to permanize that thing. One of the neat side effects of extending persisting a manifest zone is that the nature of the plane starts to infect the surrounding terrain, and in this case, Mabar, there is the soil is turning into basically concentrated darkness that can be harvested as a material component, or can replace chalk in like Theurgy rituals to create undead and darkness effects. So if you're into necromancy, and if you don't know, the Emerald Claw are really into necromancy. This stuff it's literally as good as gold. Like a pound of this stuff is it's only a silver piece per pound, and which is super. I mean, like that's what they can sell it for, and they can sell it easy. You can mark up the price if you want to, but that's basically the production value of 1 pound of crystals, because it's just dirt. It's everywhere. It's everywhere. It gets in everything. It's like sand on Arrakis. You just have to cleanse it constantly from the area. And the benefit of it is, again, it helps fuel massive undead and darkness spells. So what do you do with 500 pounds worth of raw darkness? You cast a big fucking spell is what you do. So that's kind of the game plan. And things go awry. So the team, one way or another, is led to this place where the ritual is taking place. Place, yo! And get to find the ritual, who's performing the ritual, do it the flashbang kill y'all. There's nearby village that we painted the map to that has had people gone missing that are being used as hit dice fuel to keep the ritual going and to help fake concentration checks during this process and to help eat fatigue. So they're basically lobbying innocent victims into this death ritual, and just drains the life out of them. And the guy that's performing the ritual gets to avoid paying the price for sustaining this dangerous ritual that is unnaturally sustaining Mavar's presence in the real world. So they're bad news. They're really, really bad news. So if you have a team that likes to do good, sticking an axe through these guys' skulls is a pretty good thing to do. And other plot lines has you like capture them or like get evidence that they're committing this crime against reality, so that the Karnath authorities will have enough evidence to press charges against what are otherwise higher nobility. They're basically exiled aristocrats for quote unquote war crimes, but it was basically a political assassination job. It's not like the people that are in power wanted these particular people to be knocked down, because the Emerald Claw is a necro-powered terrorist organization. You want to be on the good side of them so that they'll go kill the people that you want them to kill, instead of making them mad at you and then kill the people that you don't want them to kill. So you have that problem. And so these guys are in exile, and they're working with the 12, which is what is it? The Legion of like a Legion of Doom in Eberron, a bunch of necromancers, high sorcerers, and warlock types that use dark magic to further their Illuminati goals. And these dudes figure they can bargain chip their way into an internship with the 12 by creating this resource that the 12 would then be able to in turn use to empower even more powerful rituals, even perhaps enough to get the attention of the 9. Is it the 9 or is it the 8? There's a slew of Rakshasa that are imprisoned in a realm called the Demon Wastes, which is basically Mad Max, Mad Max style sort of desert realm ruled by different orc barbarian tribes that are by sport and tradition demon hunters. So they'll roam the demon wastes hunting for demons and then ambush and slaughter them, because that's like, if you're gonna have, like, if an orc is gonna be a paladin, they'd be a demon slayer for sure. They'd be like a Oath of the Ancients, because they would be furthering their tribes, or they could be ancestral. The ancestral totem would work really well, because they're perpetuating this tradition of hunting demons before they are capable of breaking free of reality and tearing the multiverse asunder. It's on these, rough and ready orc tribes with thousands of years of tradition behind the ways of slaying demons that just basically roam the desert Mad Max style, slaughtering demons when they run. It's kind of like their own little mini blood war. It's kind of cool. There's this temple, or this fortress, like a fortress of solitude or prison, that has all of these Rakshasa imprisoned there, and they scheme of ways of escaping, but they can still project themselves into the material realm and cause chaos through possession. So there's this church called the Church of the Silver Flame that actively looks for demons possessing people that start acting out of sorts, as a sort of inquisition. Like, if you start becoming a bad politician, maybe a demon is influencing you, which has a lot of really dark implications across the political boundaries. Like, if you're a political opponent of mine and I can then convince the Silver Hand that Silver Flame, Church of the Silver Flame, if I can convince the Silver Flames that your political positions are demonically driven, they may attempt to exorcise you, basically kick down your door at 3 o'clock in the morning during the witching hour, and try to pull demons out of you, potentially asking questions later. And so this can be used as like swatting people, basically. It's Eberron style swatting people to declare that they're either a lycanthrope or possessed. And if you can provide enough evidence for their diviners to potentially sense truth in the words, they'll send out a kill squad to get to the bottom of it. Hey there, Timely Timer. So like you can the 12 can plot with the Rakshasa to attempt, evil plans hatched across the realm. If these powerful warlocks and wizards know that the Rakshasa are seeking people to possess, now you know what kind of a otherworldly patron warlocks in the Council of 12 would have among their ranks. It would be warlocks that are servants of the Rakshasa table of 8. And so there you go. That's a reason why you would want to fire up this necromancy factory of death crystals. The side effect, of course, is undead being created and roaming the land. The living grave that we'll be getting to here in a bit, that has that fusion of undead bodies. The not only is the terrain in contact with the continuously growing manifest zone to Mabar, it's also animating the dead. And lo and behold, there is a Karnathi military grave cemetery located at this exact location. In fact, these are all the dead that were that died in attempting to protect this location from the first time somebody fired up a ritual to make a permanent manifest zone and went horribly wrong. About 120 troops were lost. I think that's how many graves we have in the graveyard. And so the place is just, and then there's the countless dead that were sacrificed in dark experiments that are just in mass buried graves. That's where these living graves come from. They become these monster generators that tear open the earth. Now, so you have this now you have this tear in the ground, and ghouls and undead are coming up out of it, and they just basically get fed at you, gauntlet style, through these mists until you kill it. So hey, how you doing? Plant me a planet. What up, my guy? So you've been around here before, right? Glad to have you around. Thank you. So there's these, because it's Mabar, the sunlight is always obscured. So there's always fog, basically like the fog spell. You have a 20-foot visibility, then you have 20 feet of obscured vision, and that's all you get. And this is just running around during daytime in this thick pea soup fog that prevents light getting to the surface, where Mabar is slowly terraforming the soil into this crystal grit stuff that these unnatural plants start to grow out of. So the energies of Mabar automatically animate any undead there, and then it starts to pull in demons as it gets worse. So if you don't get to it, it escalates into a larger CR threat over time, and you're going into this thing at level 8. So, and if you can resolve the entire adventure, it would be enough to get you to level 9. So, assuming a very slow progression. If you wanted to do all 40 hours worth of content, you could theoretically go from level 6 to 9 with it if you wanted to. I don't recommend getting past. I don't recommend being level 9 during the adventure, because that gives you access to 5th level spells, and that starts to become problematic for enclosed spaces like dungeons. They become much less of a threat to the team overall once you start gaining access to those higher level spells. So that's why I generally recommend capping it at 8. Though again, there's a lot of content in there. So there's like maybe, I want to say like 20 different potential combat scenarios, and like maybe 15 trap circumstances, like 6 or 7 social encounters, and a shitload of just random encounters. I like this bumblebee look I've got going on for this Sturge. I've never painted a Sturge before, and I am legit loving the experience. These things are fun. It's like a cross between a bee and a Terragrade. That's the vibe that I'm getting here. Super fun. I think that's pretty good, huh? Maybe we should just leave it at that. We should, now we have a little bit of wing work we need to do here. Puff that out a bit. Like that. We had some really good freestyle character art this morning on the Eberron, on the Spelljammer art stream. We're building a veteran goblin commander for a siege crew on one of the ships, and he's this artificer. He's just grizzled. He's got limbs replaced with armor, and so he's like an amputee artificer, and he just absolutely looks like he knows what the fuck he's talking about, and he's been an absolute joy to doodle, and we'll be shifting into paints with him tomorrow morning, and I don't think I'm going to get him done tomorrow morning, but I finished the book cover that I had been painting on Saturday. So if you've seen me painting on Saturday morning, the commission that I had, I'll pop that open here real quick for anybody that's around. This is a chance for me to kind of brag up about it a little bit. Where is it? The Gun of Eberron. It's a 12th, I think, level adventure that expands on content from Out of the Abyss. This giant construct has a cannon on its back, and here's your helm up in here. So it's about a 50-foot structure, 70 feet long. So it's basically the size of the Tarrasque. Here's a 2-story house for comparison in size. And so this thing has a cannon that it basically, whatever location in reality across any dimension you can think of, you scry that location, and then it launches this basically force damage black hole that creates a tunnel, a wormhole or an arcane gate that crosses from the location of the construct now. It's called the Gun of Eberron. It takes you from that place, and then you can maintain and hold this tube for troops to march through. So it does all this damage at the location when it first hits, and then troops spill out from the Blood War to flood whatever the area is, or the machine itself can just crawl through the wormhole and now be in a completely different part of reality. So it's test driving the dimensional warp effect, and your team is there finding out about it as it's happening, kind of Doctor Who style, to try to shut the thing down. And it, like I said, it's the size of the Tarrasque. It's as dangerous as a Tarrasque. It's a construct, like a demonic construct sort of thing. It's got this Phyrexian oil that fuels it. It's got like this just drippiness that coats all the sinew and joints, and it's got this like gross undeath sludge going on, seeping through its system. It's this is a fucking joy to create, and the foliage turned out really well, and so you can watch. I think it was 2 streams ago. I was doing the foliage effect, and this energetic extent, like this energetic flare, with this like fractaling effect that it has. So that was a lot of fun to create and then integrate into the picture, blowing the trees open, and all the way back to episode 1 when we started building the mountain range and the tree line and the water, all of that built out as a Bob Ross painting, and then we dropped a demon into the middle of a Bob Ross painting. Fucking legendary. Oh man, I am so thrilled to have produced this piece. It was a true joy to make. Man, I fucking love this. But so yeah, that's the kind of stuff that we do. But I don't have a Saturday morning commission anymore. And as I've mentioned before, I plan on staying free of Saturday morning commissions until the Spelljammer book is finished. But because we have, I can like I could finish the Goblin picture tomorrow. I could finish that on Saturday morning stream if I want to. But I also get to start creating the next campaign for my home table. They want to play in Spelljammer, and they haven't decided yet if they want to run Spelljammer as an Eberron campaign setting where they're running a mining operation, harvesting dragon shard crystals for the Tears of Sybaris that are orbiting the planet, or if they want to have a Ravnica guild space campaign where the character, all the 10 guilds of Ravnica are venturing into space to colonize different moons, asteroid systems, and stuff. And so there's potential conflict and competition out in the stars among the different guilds, like Boros fighting Rakdos off the Star of Orion and shit like that. You know, like Golgari, Spore druids creating new, like developing the unnatural, the unusual creatures and unusual plants that grow on the side of asteroids facing the sun. That sort of stuff, like that, like Gruul being out there on creatures that get that, like Kindori, flying on the back of Kindori to try to destroy all of the other guilds that are out there attempting to exploit the natural peace of wild space. So there's a lot of fun potential. I'm actually kind of geeking out about that concept more than I am about the Crystals of Sybaris, the Tears of Sybaris mining operation that is on the table. But if that's the decision that they want to go in, I love Eberron. It is by far my favorite campaign setting for Dungeons and Dragons. I've been going back over and over again to Eberron for the past 17 years. So ever since it came out, it had become my default preferred setting. I had been running Planescape and Spelljammer in basically a Planescape campaign for ever throughout second edition, since the 90s when those books came out. And so I never really had a home, you know? Like, I didn't have a home campaign. It's just, this campaign, which dimension are we going to tear up? Let's go play in the Happy Hunting Ground, the Beastlands. Let's go play in the Beastlands for this campaign. Cool, let's do like a Savage Empire campaign with like riding wolves and shit that are huge, like dire wolves that are 15 feet in size. Let's do that fighting Ettins or something. Like that's the kind of shit that we did in second edition. And in third edition, we just continued and picked up Planescape again and just sallied forth. But I didn't have like a home plane, like forgotten, like we never went to the home planes. We're always in the Outlands or another dimension somewhere, another plane of existence, like either that or Dark Sun. So Dark Sun was kind of our second plane of choice, but that's a horrible home. You can't rest there. So when Eberron came out, it wasn't Forgotten Realms, it wasn't Mad Max Hellscape, and it wasn't demons and Burks everywhere. So it felt like a normal sort of, place. So we decided to roost in Eberron as a table, and we spent many years there. And so if they want to do Spelljammer in Eberron, I'm all for it. So it'd just be continuing the legacy. But there is the excitement of introducing a new campaign, and I have yet to actually run a Ravnica campaign. And so I'm running a Ravnica campaign guaranteed with the Martial Powers playtest that we're building. That'll be for level 3 to 7. It'll be a short campaign because I've already been using Martial Powers at my home table in our Eberron campaign from like level 12 till they're about to hit level 20. So yeah, they were throwing down. They threw down about 20 mana during a boss fight yesterday. It was pretty fun. They were fighting a 50-foot spider. They were able to hit it with multiple stun strikes to keep it immobilized. So all they had to really deal with was the mob of spiderlings, small size, like the size of dogs, spiderlings that were cracking out of hundreds of eggs that it was sitting on. So they were prioritizing throwing strikes and maintaining mana on the spider to keep it from being able to do big spider damage, while they were getting swarmed and chewed up by these tiny little spiders that were just basically doing AoE damage to them each round. They couldn't avoid it, except for the rogue, because the rogue could get away with it. But they've blown down maybe like around 500 damage as a team in the past 3 rounds, and it's a 50-foot spider. It has around 1,000 hit points, so they're going to be able to shred through it and eat almost all of their mana in the process of doing it as level 20 characters. So they're banging hard. They're doing a good job as a 3-man team. So it's curving out very, very nicely, and I've been very satisfied with the type of damage they're capable of putting out when they decide to just throw all of their mana at a single encounter at the 4th tier of play. It's nice, because the book, the Martial Powers book, when we publish it, it's going to talk about scaling damage with creatures that are of impossible, like kaiju-sized creatures, for you to be able to combat with, because the Spelljammer book will be published. So all the kaiju mechanics that you need to be able to build excessively large, like colossal-sized creatures, will be available for you in the Spelljammer book. It's very straightforward and simple. So we can lean into 20th level characters fighting, colossal sized creatures. So they were fighting an insect that was 300 feet in size. They were fighting this spider's only 50 feet, but it's just got thousands of bugs that swarm. So it's a big threat, and it's in an enclosed space, so they can't really get away from it. So they had to stun lock it, and then they used the assess ability and realized that it was weak against psychic damage. So they actually only did about 250 damage themselves, but because the creature has weakness, they automatically crit against it every time they use psychic damage. And they had enough variety of strike powers that they actually had psychic damage available to them on one or another ability that they were using. So once they discovered that it was weak against psychic damage, we're just blowing mana every round so that we could always be doing psychic damage against the creature, since we knew that was its weakness. So you can scale up massive kaiju creatures like that and just build in weaknesses like that. And there's a number of different tips and tricks and shit that we're going to have in the book, like mana traps that make you burn mana or concentration by stepping on a landmine, or like instead of having counter spell on creatures, they have like mana drain. Basically, you basically build a blue deck as a DM to use against your character's mana supply. So you can have enemies that when you attack them, like if you target them with a spell effect, you have to spend an extra 2 points of mana. Otherwise, the spell is automatically dismissed, because it gets negated. So you have to mana tax it. So you can layer in things like that. Like you can mana tax this, but you're going to take D10 damage in the process, or you can lose 5 mana. Take your pick. And when you only have like 16 mana, it's like fuck. I think I'll take some damage. So you can guarantee damage on the high-level characters every round by making them choose either their resources or their hit point pool, which is a Rakdos sort of black energy thing to do using Magic the Gathering decks. Like you would be able to do a sacrifice deck like that, force your opponent to sacrifice either mana or hit points. They choose, and you make the mana tax extremely expensive. So they'll take the relatively inexpensive cost of the hit points, right? Because you can always heal hit points, but meanwhile, they're getting hit by various effects that are automatically dealing damage to them each round. And the cleric only has so much action economy and is also being tested with extra potential mana drop just to maintain a healing wind or whatever. To have an AoE heal effect going, it may be getting taxed, having to spend like an extra point of mana for each creature that gains healing from you off of that AoE this round. It's a really fun way to be able to layer in this resource as a hit point pool. So it has a very, I would say, if you were to build an independent Magic the Gathering game completely devoid of any kind of 5e or Wizard of the Coast influence, I would say that a Cypher system with 5 stats instead of 3, one devoted to each color of magic, would actually be a really fun system to develop. And would roll really, really well. Cypher system is a very narrative-rich game. And using resources, it's both your hit point pool and your mana pool at the same time. So you can very literally have 5 attributes in a Cypher format, having color to each one of them. So the book of the Eldraine Monstrous Manual, that was Monstrous Compendium 4, Creatures of Eldraine, that was published on DMsGuild, on D&D Beyond. I think that was published. Was it like 2 months ago? I've been picking slowly at reviewing all the different creatures that are in the book, and the Knights of Eldraine. They have they're a paladin order of different oaths that all decided to work together to save Eldraine from destruction. And so each Eldraine Knight represents a different color. Like the Knights of Embrith, for example, are devoted to red, while like the Knights of Lochflame are black devoted. And so they have these different aura bonuses, and depending on what color they are, has a different stat that gets modified. Like the Embreth, the red mana paladins. Their mana, they have advantage on wisdom saving throws and have advantage on wisdom checks, I believe is what their aura produces for people that are within 10 feet of them. And then each color has a corresponding stat like that. So you'd be able to take that idea and then convert the Cypher system mechanical system into each of those colors represents that sort of a stat. So then you build all the spell-like abilities and creature effects using that color signature to reflect that stat, so you can have self-contained Magic the Gathering inspired Cypher system powers, effects, artifacts, boosts, and features on your characters, as well as like the different MTG races. But I'd have to get, for to make any money with it, I have to get it licensed, and that'll never happen. So I don't think Wizards of the Coast is interested in licensing the Magic the Gathering IP to some guy that spends a lot of time on stream bad mouthing Wizards of the Coast design, to hand them their prize IP to then be built out as a role-playing game in a competing role-playing game company. Like, that is never fucking going to happen. So, but God, it would be awesome to do it, because that is such a great stat system, and there's no way I'd ever have the time to build it out as a pay what you want, like not even pay what you want. It has to be on my pay, like it'd have to be a free download, like on what's the word I'm looking for? Like on Home Brewery, and post a link to it on my Patreon and ask for $2 or something. Like, that's about as far as I could take it, and honestly, that money is a factor when I decide to do things. So that would not win out. I love the idea, though. I would, in a heartbeat, be involved in a project like that if there was some sort of licensing and payment locked into it, so that it would be worth my time to invest the energy in doing it. But I could 100% do that. Zero issue. It would be a joy to create if it could somehow be profitable. So, sad times, but man, I fucking love color magic. I love MTG. But yeah, Cypher system is would be a really great system to use for Magic the Gathering as a role-playing game. Just really, really good. Both of those games are very complementary to each other. The end. I think I'm just gonna call this dude done. I think it looks pretty goddamn good. Nice job, Theurgy. I'm real and digging on you, buddy. white. All right, let's work on the white. White. Drop the opacity, baby. Let's go to here. Yep, I'm here 6 days a week. I'm always painting an environment, a map, book cover, interior artwork, filigree, page stuff, font design, creature tokens, ship tokens, vehicle tokens, weapon tokens, magic effects, or I'm doing page layouts, or I'm writing the rules to a book, or we're building a playtest game, or I'm showing you DM notes that I create, or whatever. So if you think this shit's cool, like, subscribe, hit the bell icon. I would love to have you on board. Let's see. Let's go look at D&D Beyond, and we'll go to the white. Did you mean white? I did. Donkasaur. What do you look like? Oh my, aren't you just a Grasley guy? I'm gonna copy. That did not compute, my friend. Open image in a new tab. You look pretty dope, my dude. Big shoes, by the way. Boo-doo. He's got a real Carnathy look to him, though. I mean, not gonna lie. That's some Carnath shit going on there. I gotta look at the lore that they have built for this homes real quick. Hold on. Just gonna drop him into a reference position here. It's good art. I like that art. Legit. Totes. He looks like he's got like way too much game for him to just be some undead. I think there's more going on to whites than I think there's going on to them. Reopen. Tell me about you, Boogaloo. A humanoid slain by this attack rises 24 hours later as a zombie under the white's control unless the humanoid is restored to life or its body is destroyed. The white can have no more than 12 zombies under its control at a time. Cool. Sunlight sensitivity, baby. So the thing is that the whole region is covered with fog. So sunlight sensitivity is not an issue for these guys. But if they happen to be in the sunlight, it would have disadvantages on attack rolls as well as with some perception checks that rely on sight. That's nice. Irrelevant, but that's nice. What's your CR, Holmes? 3. Oobadoo. Whites are intelligent undead humanoids that resemble armed and armored corpses. They never fire, and they never tire in pursuit of their goal of making eternal war against the living. The word white means person in days of yore, but the name now refers to evil undead who were once mortals, driven by dark desires and great vanity. When death stills such a creature's heart and snuffs its living breath, its spirit cries out to the demon lord Arcos, or some vile god of the underworld, for reprieve. Undeath in return for eternal war on the living. If a dark power answers the call, the spirit is granted undeath so that it can pursue its own malevolent agenda. Whites possess the memories and drives of their formerly living selves. They will heed the call of whatever dark entity transforms them into undead, swearing oath. They will heed the call of whatever dark entity transformed them into undeath, swearing oaths to appease their new dark lord while retaining their autonomy. Never tiring, a white can pursue its goals relentlessly without distraction. Life eaters, neither dead nor alive, blah blah blah, shadow of the grave. Whites flee from the world by day, away from the light of the sun, which they hate. They retreat to barrow mounds, crypts, and tombs where they dwell. Their lairs are silent, desolate places surrounded by dead plants, noticeably blackened and avoided by bird and beasts. These guys are fucking perfect for previously dead Carnathy soldiers. Love it. He always slain by a white can rise as a zombie under its control. There you go. There you go. So yeah, let's get after it. All right, we're gonna conceal that. We can come back to the colors later. Engage. God, these guys are so fucking perfect. This is how it starts. We just go with doodles until something kind of pops out. And then we'll drop the visibility down to more of a background, and we'll paint again. As the form starts to take shape, we're just letting it do what it wants to do without trying to control it too much. I get the like the sense of like gestures and shapes and forms, and I kind of let the pixels bend in that direction to start hinting at different gestures that the creature may be able to sustain in the sort of pose that we're looking at. Like what will it form into, and the answer gets fed to me as it happens. So a lot of times I'll go and I'll backtrack and I'll get rid of something. It's like, I don't think that's helping me here because I don't really know what it is I'm throwing down. I'm just letting my body do the motion. And if it looks good, you know, I upvote it and it sticks around. Like, that feels horrible. That's a shit pose. Super shit pose. So voted that guy off the island. Let's try this some more. I like this. God, I like this general pose. Like, if he had a spear, that'd be pretty fucking dope. What? Yeah, I'm digging on that idea. So we're just going to go ahead and cross over the spear, and we'll reintegrate it once it's proper time. We can start building this body around the spear as a point of leverage. Hey Tex, what's up? Hey, what's up, Nitro? It's good to see you, my guy. You're making a white right now. Oh, you know what? It may have drifted away. It's probably me. It's I know you don't see it often, but I have a Yeti microphone, and I have a little octopus stuffed animal that is, I can, if it gets angry, you turn it inside out, and now it's an angry octopus. It's a little baby Cthulhu. My gal calls it little Cthulhu, but most of the time it's happy. So when it's happy, it sits on top of my microphone, and I talk to it. When I talk to the microphone, I'm talking to it. And sometimes, because it's on a Yeti boom, it'll drift in and out. So if I accidentally bump into it while I'm fucking around or whatever, it'll kick to the side. But normally, maybe there's here. Maybe you can. No, there's not enough contrast there. Hold on. Fucking backgrounds are a bitch. There we go. I got my TV up there. I have my Bose speaker across the bow of the. That's my wooden fireplace I have back there. So I get to burn wood, and but this is the boom that I have, and normally this guy sits like literally right here on my shoulder like a parrot, and he just kind of hangs out with me. What's up, guy? Eep. So this is how we generally hang out. It's just that you never get to see him because I always have my Ravnica guild pact symbol on the background to block out the background in case, I don't know, in case I'm ever skinning a deer or something and I don't want to see the drippings on screen or whatever. Who knows? Whatever reason it is that Phils do what they do, that's why we keep up the guild pact in the background. But yeah, so when we drift out of volume, it's because little Cthulhu drifted away from me again. He's out of orbit with me, and I need to pull him back in. A lot of times I just don't flat out notice it like at all. So thanks. Oh, Nitro, if you spin back to earlier in today's episode, I finished the book cover, my Saturday morning book cover commission. So I spent a few minutes looking at that and talking about it a little bit. If that's something that you have been keeping tabs on, you're welcome to go check it out, as it's done, and trying to assess how I want to use my Saturdays now. Saturday, I think when I start doing the playtest for the Martial Power System, I'm pretty sure it's going to be either Monday night or Saturday morning. So instead of me streaming on Saturday morning, it would be me running my Ravnica campaign. Like, instead of me starting here in Seattle like at 9 o'clock, it would be like 7:30 in Seattle instead. It's like 7:30 to 11. So it'd be like 3.5, like maybe even 7 to 11. It'd be a 4-hour block, like 3.5 hours of game, and then a 30-minute cooldown, and then 10-minute breaks every hour. That's how I like to roll. I don't always do it, but that would be very easy for me to accomplish on a Saturday morning. Mondays are good nights as well, because I typically do the Eberron stream, but honestly, Thursday is the not a great day for me to do playtesting. I know that I had playtested both the Eberron adventure that we're currently doing artwork for on Thursday, as well as the Spelljammer Descent into Avernus playtest, and we also did the Greenest in Flames, Horde of the Dragon Queen. We also playtested the army mechanics using that adventure as a scenario. Let me just pause here in the middle of a rant and say how much I fucking love that the tools that I build on the DMs Guild can be dropped into actual D&D campaigns that are published, and arguably improve them. That is just that really makes me proud. Really just makes me proud. So, but so Thursdays I've got emotional baggage that I tend to carry on Thursdays. So if I'm going to miss a day, it's going to be Thursday. So not making Thursday a day is ultimately going to serve the endeavor more, and I'll have more energy, and I'll also be able to prep on Sunday for the Monday game. So there's that. But that's going to happen sooner than later. So I honestly don't know what I'm going to do with my Saturday yet. There's a good argument that I should complete whatever, I should continue working on whatever Spelljammer illustration that is currently in the pipeline that I'm drilling through. I've got 9 left, and I'm thinking this is, the 7th today? I'm thinking I can probably get the color flats for the Goblin done tomorrow, super easy, and I can start doing detail work for it. I could potentially have that finished on Saturday if that's how I decided to spend my first Saturday free day. But that's just me doing more, that's just me doing more Spelljammer art, which I do 5 days a week already. So like taking a break from doing Spelljammer art is probably the best thing I can do for the Spelljammer art. Like completely shifting gears out of stuff that I've been doing that's what I like the most about Saturday, is that it's going to be a completely, it might be related to something else that I'm doing, but it's its own thing. Like, it will be its own thing. A commission, stock art, a separate tear out document, maybe a new video, some sort of something. But it's not going to be a current project. It's going to be its own thing, and I love that energy. So I don't think I want to do the Goblin. Like, I'll probably finish the Goblin off camera Saturday afternoon, because I'll be playing Curse of Strahd Saturday night. And when I play D&D, I get to, as long as I'm not in the middle of rolling dice or pushing a character around, it's all theater of the mind. So I can turn off my brain and let artwork run in the background while I'm playing D&D. I can't do that while I'm DMing, because it requires too much bandwidth for me to be able to render reality at the rate of improvisation that I clip at. It's an all-consuming, like, it's one of the few things I can actually do that requires like all of my RAM. Like, most tasks, I've got the ADHD thing going, so I've got at least like 3 or 4 different windows open, like tabs open in the browser in my head. But when I DM, it's like I just close all apps, and like all CPU wattage goes directly into rendering reality for however long we're gonna play D&D for, which is typically why I don't do more than like 3 or 4 hours, because it's just the amount of psychic energy that it requires me to render reality at that rate. It's taxing. So I have to mind the battery. So Saturdays or Mondays are probably what's going to end up being like Monday. Like, God, I could do like Monday 5 till 10, or 5 till 9, or 5:30, or like 6 till 10. Probably maybe like 5:30 to 9:30 would probably be a really good block of time. It would either be that, or it would be in Pacific time, of course, Seattle time. It's what is it? It's like 8 o'clock here. Yeah, it's 8:13 here in the PM here in Seattle right now. So that's gonna happen. So honestly, yeah, maybe that's what I should do. Maybe on Saturday will be the first day that I begin scheming for the Ravnica land crawl campaign. I'm going to call it a land crawl because it has different colored lands, like in Magic the Gathering, and I'm using squares, not hexes. So maybe I can call it like a deck crawl. Maybe I can make an MTG deck out of the lands, and have like have a random deck for each color for each type of terrain that you're in. So I could have a separate deck to draw cards from to create challenges for you guys. That could be fun. But I'll probably just end up going with tables, with like, you know, random encounter tables for each, because I 100% want to develop that into a DMsGuild product, or something to publish on my Patreon. But it's too much of a good utility for me to not want to have available for people to use. I also want to use the martial power system to craft a mage tower league for Strixhaven, so that each of the 4 color combinations has their own. You know, they all have their own mage tower sports team, and because they play sports ball in Arcavios. But yeah, so I want to, the whole reason I created the Martial Powers book in the first place initially was just to give monks a way to get a spell list. So I was making all monks half casters. So they would have a spell list, so if they were in one of the Strixhaven schools, they'd be able to use their mana appropriately to cast spells along all the other monk shit that they do. So you could get sports scholarships, like athletic scholarships, to be on the Mage Tower team. And then I was like, well, why limit it just to monks? How can I build a system that's going to allow all martial characters get a to take the background of the Strixhaven schools, or like the Ravnica guilds? They get a set of spells, yeah, but what's most important is that they then identify as the 2 colors in their mana set. Like the Boros Legion, they get the Boros spells for free that they can spend mana to cast, even though the martial power characters, they just get spell casting on top of the martial powers that they have. So in the Ravnica campaign, not only will you get your stack of martial powers in your mana pool, but you're also going to get all the spells that your guild should get and all the benefits from gaining renown in your guild as well, like an actual Ravnica campaign. And in the Arcavios campaign, then you can build out your characters using the color mana system for like the lore hold is like white and red, and like Witherbloom is green, black, and Silverquill is white and black. Quandrix is blue. Is green, blue, and then Prismari is blue, red. So those are the 5 color combinations that are in the set. And so if you just make your martial power character devoted to those 2 colors, then your mana is those colors. You can pick up the Strixhaven background. You can even get a familiar to run around with you, like a ranger, a Witherbloom ranger that takes the Beastmaster background, can summon a pest as a summon ally. So your your animal companion can be like a giant sized pest creature. Fucking cool stuff, man. And you can use the summon familiar thing to augment your the companion that you conjure as a Beastmaster, or like they'd be a great swarm keeper. God, Witherbloom as swarm keepers would be fucking fantastic, as they would be for Golgari as well. But there's just so much sick shit you can do with color mana, and I am beyond myself. I'm absolutely beside myself that like I'm the guy that is creating this shit. Like it's me. Like it's got to be somebody, and for some, it's like to me, as a content creator, this stuff to me is the lottery. Like I won the creative lottery. For some reason, I'm the guy that created a color mana system that actually works with Dungeons and Dragons. That weakens spellcasters, that lets martial characters become a little bit more equal to them, gives everybody access to the same resources, and properly expresses the language and emotion and the narrative design of what 5 color mana is, extracted from the cards, dropped into a role-playing game. And I will forever thank God that this was the life that I got to live. That of like all the things that of all the different realities I could have been spun into as a creator, it's this one where I took 2 awesome games and was able to successfully fuse them together into a stronger product than what D&D was, I feel, without it. And so I'm absolutely tooting my own horn here, but I mean, you can look at all the books for free. They're all down in the description down below. You can, if you want to buy them to support more of it. I'm going to be updating all of them once 2024 comes out. The campaign I've been running with my home table for the past few years has really given me a lot of great insights about the narrative and like mana tricks and ways to punish mana pools, and just how to express characters. And my page layout and design ability has increased substantially since creating those books. And since the new rules are coming out, all the rules that are in the 2024 content, all that stuff makes the mana stuff that I do make even more sense. It's even easier to lean into the color mana system that I created. It's like I'm being handed the most wonderful gift, and I'm absolutely looking forward to it. Like UA, like the most recent content for the monk and the barbarian really infused a lot of hope that maybe they can pull this stuff off and build something that's good in the time that's available to them. I'm not holding my breath, but I can see they actually have the inspiration and capability of pulling it off. It's just, will they have enough time to cook? So I'm really hoping for them. I love 5e as a game system. I love designing for it. I love running it. Level 1 to 20 is easier to run than 3rd edition was. So it took actually a lot of mental stress off of me switching to 5e, because the system there's so much less processing during a round of combat. than what was in 3E. It's just, even with all the stuff that I'm introducing into martial powers, it's not increasing the weight load of what you're actually doing. It's still just processing stuff that you know how to do already. It's just more options, and it's just making more class features more universal across various classes, and then finding clever ways to abuse and like cheat in the system, more mana or more opportunities to use them, or to be able to get more out of the mana than what you originally had. Which is why I love what's been going on with the rogue and the monk and the barbarian in the most recent playtests, because they're creating core resources and action loops inside of those characters that are things that we were already exploring in martial powers. So I was like, wow, if you guys pull this off, all I really need to do is slap a mana cost on stuff and amp up what it can do. And you guys can just keep doing what you're doing. We're going to be fine. So it's really fucking exciting. And it's going to be really, really fun to take everything that I've learned for the past 3 years since I've published another mana book, for me to implement some of the design principles and skills that I've accumulated as a content creator in general. So I'm really looking forward to next year, like a lot. Really looking forward to it. It's gonna be fucking great. Hey, what's going on? It looks like you guys have been talking about stuff, and I've been on such a rant that I don't know what's going on anymore. So what's up? What do you use for virtual back? I use a Chromecast, Chromacast. It's a cheap, just little. Can you see that? No, wait, hold on. For some reason, I thought you'd be able to see the reflection of the camera in its own eyes, but alas, earwax. Yeah, cheap little Chromacast. I have a wooden box. I have my desk, and the desk is about at the height of my navel, and then I have a wooden frame that's about maybe 15 inches, and then I set the camera on top of it, and I just point it towards me, and then the edge of my monitor is right here, at the edge of where the window is for my Photoshop. So I have the edge here, and when I have it turned on its swivel all the way to here, so here's the edge of my screen, and that lines up with the text that I'm looking at down here, and I can actually read your text at this distance if I tilt it up. The only problem is if I tilt up the monitor, there's now a giant light spot from the light behind me reflecting into my eyes. So if I look at myself, I get a light reflection that blinds me. So maybe that's a lesson that I shouldn't be so concerned about how I look, huh? I like to tuft my hair occasionally because I like to look pretty. So that's a hard thing for me to give up. I imagine drawing a big piece while playing a TTRPG and working on a duel in the corner, mocking something a party rogue is doing. I have been that guy. I have been that guy. I grew up in Missouri, St. Louis specifically, and during like high school, and then I went to University of Missouri Columbia, Mizzou, the journalism college. I actually went there for HR management, believe it or not. But I eventually dropped out of college because I got a job at an Italian restaurant that I absolutely loved. I quit college for a while, decided to go to culinary school, and then I went back to Mizzou to get a real degree, and realized that I don't really want to do what's the word? I didn't want to be like a professional like super snob chef, because those guys, I hate those guys. I met a lot of like super chefs in culinary school, and their ego is outrageous, like far beyond any content creator, YouTube enthusiast that I've seen online. Like cooks are out just off the scale, and I'm like, God, I don't want to be you. So I was like, I gotta bail out of this shit. But I had a couple semesters of culinary school under my belt. So when I moved back to Columbia, Missouri, it's about 2 hours away from St. Louis, right? And I don't drive. So I always had to get somebody to take me to fucking Columbia, Missouri. One of my friends would actually drive from Columbia to pick me up. and bring me back, because I would DM for them for about 14 hours while I was there over the weekend. We would get just drunk, high, mushroomed, LSD'd, just blown out, like just college malarkey, and play D&D, like just shitloads of D&D. And so that was, why was I talking about that? It was something to do. Oh, that was it. I would illustrate a lot of the adventure stuff that happened, because I'd go back to St. Louis and I wouldn't see them again for a month. So I got basically 14 hours a game in one weekend, about once a month, and my D&D friends would grab me and bring me to Columbia to play D&D and then take me home at the end of the weekend. It's like, Jesus, you guys, fucking wow, great guys. So that was awesome. And so I would spend, pining for the next time I got to hang out with my college friends and get screwed up and have fun, and play a shitload of D&D. And I would illustrate all of our adventures during, in the interim while I waited. So that's actually got some history for me. That was fun. I hadn't thought about that in a while. Those guys became lifelong friends, and until just a while ago, I was still playing D&D with one of them consistently online through Roll20, and have for years. I eventually moved out with my gal to Phoenix, and we stayed there for about 7 years before moving to Seattle. And I met another fantastic. This was like 1994 to like 2007, I think. That feels 2006. There you go. So I moved like I think that was when 4th edition was just dropping in. And we had a really hard time moving from Phoenix to Seattle. It was a very economically, because we just jumped without looking, right? We just landed, we figured we'd get work, and it did not pan out for about 18 months. It was rough. So I didn't have a lot of time to play D&D. What I did have time for was the local gaming shop that was within bus drive of where we lived. And they were running 4th edition using Gamma World. So I played like maybe 2 or 3 sessions of 4th edition D&D. And then the rest of my time was spent on Gamma World, which is like the most beer and pretzel throw. Like I could drop in, drop out. I can't make it this week. Yeah, I can be there. Like depending on what my schedule was doing to me. It was a while before I was able to build something stable. And then once I did, and then 5th edition came out, and I got into 5e. I was playing Cypher System before that on Roll20 with my college friend, and he was my best man at my wedding. That was awesome. But he's in Germany now. He's George the German. Great guy. But yeah, he'd play 5e. He played Cypher System, and he played 3e, Cypher System, and 5e. Like two of my level 1 to 20 campaigns he was a part of, and yeah, he played with me for years, thousands of hours on Roll20. It was great. That was a great era. And then the Ravnica thing happened, and it's like, wow, they're never going to have color mana in D&D, like ever. It's up to me. And then it hit in my head, it's up to you, my child. This is your quest. This is why you were born into this reality. Go forth and create color magic. I'm like, okay, this is an awesome quest. I accept it. I humbly submit myself to whatever muse is necessary for me to accomplish it. Well, let me introduce you. And she's been writing my soul ever since. It's been fucking awesome. That's a haphazard stumbling through my timeline, as Phil can recall it. Kneecap. Kneecap. Thank you, Timely Timer. 8:30? Yeah, I still got at least a half hour in me. At least a half hour. I also burp when I hiccup, and it goes like this. That's roughly the noise that it makes. It's funny as fuck. What's up, Cthulhu? That feels about right height. Jamal? I question how Karnath that feels, though. This feels more like feels more elven than Karnathy. I don't think I can let that hang. I'll finish out those legs and then see where we're inspired to move to. You know, honestly, I haven't spent a lot of time thinking about what motives or plots whites. I just have whites as a random, as a random option on the table, and I literally never thought about what motives or who these whites may be. And there's a really large design space, like a very large narrative design space in those questions. That seems like, of all things, this adventure would have interesting answers to, considering the nature of the campaign itself and the animating aspect of the manifest zone to bring things to life. Like Vengeful Whites, it feels like a pretty fucking natural fit for this, and I just admittedly never spent any time on that. So it seems to me that I'm going to have an opportunity to kind of riff on some ideas about, like, there's an appendix at the end of the adventure where all the creatures, all the stat blocks for all the creatures are listed, so we can hyperlink them for you. So it's like you encounter, like, roll D3 whites, and you can click white and it'll take you down to the appendix where whites are at if you need it. And down there we can have role-playing options and, like, have like a D6 list of, like, different motives or origins where these whites may have come from. Like they could even be like fallen mercenary, like Red Wolf mercenary soldiers that died and then were maliciously reanimated by the power of the manifest zone. So now there's potentially like an anti-mercenary group that's running around inside the mists that are trying to pick off mercenary soldiers to turn them into zombies to help create an undead zombie that could then go into the fortress and take control and kill the necromancers, and then serve bidding to the artifact that they're using directly as its commander. That's like a whole thing I never really fucking ever thought about, that just got blipped into my head, that I'm not gonna lie, fucking in love with. Like that's awesome. Like if you decide to have whites in your game, they're killing off crew members and the crew is scared. So they're more than happy to help you if you can clear out the whites. So that becomes a quick little side quest mission. And where might the whites be skulking? Why, in the cemetery, of course. So there's a random chance of whites in the cemetery. Now we know what's going on. And they could have a relationship with the wraiths. And then the Bone Knight can be like their big daddy boss, like this general of it. So he's got like this growing army of white, like this white zombie undead wraith army that will slowly accumulate power and run the whole place over if you don't do something about it. Like, what a fun tangent! Like that's like, it's like, hey, we're missing somebody today. It's like, well, fuck it, let's just do some random side quest shit around here and just dig out some space, and then go do that for 6 hours. Fuck, that'd be awesome. God damn. I can't believe I didn't think about that till now. When I needed to take a break from doodling and cartography, we might just spend a session building that out as just a thing. Fuck, that's cool. God, I love DMing. I love just building shit like that. It's so fucking cool. Yeah, right on. Yeah, if you can, go for it, man. If you want to, I mean, it's pretty much good to go, right? Just, they're CR3 creatures, so they're not overwhelming. You have the zombies with them. You could use if they're fresh dead, then they can be bloaters. So you can have, like, you know, they swell up with the Vulpina. If they get hit, they burst. And they splotch the stinking cloud stuff everywhere, and then they become long dead, the skeletal type with like all the crystals growing on their skeletal frame. So they burst off their flesh, and now they're the long dead, the crystal coated skeleton warriors. Those would just be fucking great, man. And if you don't deal with them, then they get out of hand. So if your team is going back and using the town as a resting point, then you can have the White Army hit as an offbeat encounter at night, because they can only attack at night, because once they're out of the forest, they're going to be in the sunlight. They can't tolerate it. So they're only going to attack you at night. It's going to fuck with your long rest. But if you've already been hired, oh my god! Like I didn't even think about this. Like if you get the mercenaries on your side, they could live in town and repopulate the town, like take ownership of the town and have a fucking place to live while being guardians for your fortress that you take over at the end of the adventure. And then you can start building your own little militia to help back up the sheriff that's out fighting Talenta halflings. And then you could build it into a prairie campaign if you wanted to, with a bunch of seasoned warriors that are waiting for someone to lead them into something more honorable than working for fucking necromancers. God, that'd be fucking cool, man. Nitro, dude, the more I talk to you, the more I want to actually run this as a campaign. I low-key recall... No, it's not low-key. I remember it now. I promise y'all playtesters that when this thing published, if people wanted to, I'd run you through with it. Or I'd run through it with you. So, run you through it. I would run it. I would DM it for you for reals. And I know that you know all the beats that you've been running. I mean, you're all going to get a free copy of it anyway. You know what it is. But I think it's maybe more so than... like never having an experience, because you've all playtested, like a lot of you guys have ran it like 2 or 3 times with me. So you've had multiple experiences with it, and like very proud to say, it's like, yeah, we've ran this with you a few times. We want to do it again. Like that is the biggest fucking compliment I could ever get for an adventure that I've created. That is like, I am very proud of that. And so I made a promise that when the thing actually publishes, I will run the adventure. So I know that's on my horizon. I'm going to have to dig out space for it once that happens. But that's not going to be until like mid-late 2024. So that'll drop off the plate. The Spelljammer project will be done. The only thing I'll have left is Color Mana. The Color Mana conversion project, and then whatever else it is I do. So I could definitely make time to run to run the campaign from at least 5th level, like from 5th to 10th level maybe, and like build that out so that you guys take control of the region and do shit. There's so much just I had forgotten I made that promise. I'm so glad we're having this conversation because I am now actually legit fucking excited about running it. Legit excited. That's going to be fun to go back and visit it. Fuck, God. So cool. I don't know, man. If it's a cast of previous playtesters, maybe it's something I could chance on streaming or recording to post as like an advertisement for the campaign. It's like, here, what, play this. Shit, I have to chance it. I'm sorry, a thing just popped in my head that's demanding my attention. Give me a second. Because if you have never seen this before, I have a treat for you. Whacked. Bad books. I don't think I'm going to get a copyright ding for this, but honestly, it's fucking worth it. So give me a second. I'm going to play this for you. Oh my God.
My teeth started.
Get out of my way, AARP. Move along. Move along. Phil's playing commercials again. Here we go. Prepare yourself, brethren. Prepare yourself.
Hey, you think you're evil? Well, you should try reading some of these books like Kittens Make Great Jackets, Son of One Part 2, No Mommy Not the Clown Suit, and Why You'll Be Alone Forever. Order now and receive a free Body's Disposal Handbook. Call now. Bad books, because of good books, bad books.
Son of One Part 2. Kittens Make Great Jackets. I Don't Want to Be Alone Forever. That's such great titles of books. Oh my God. The Whacked video game. It was on Xbox. It was like year 2001 maybe that came out. It's a multiplayer shooter game that has it's like a very early version of like a battle royale environment. Like you had to pick up points or like chase chickens or like grab batteries while you're fighting NPCs and each other. And it's a fun game, but it was set up as a game show. And so every time you'd complete a level, in the quest mode from trying to win the contest, there's also competition mode where you just like multiplayer attack mode, like 4 people playing at the same time against each other. But in the campaign, the NPC campaign, every time you defeated a level and like won a challenge for the game show, they'd take a commercial break, and there were all these stupid little commercials like that. And just they're all on YouTube. They're all totally worth having. But Whacked. It's that was the Xbox One game. It may have been on PS, but I know we had an Xbox, so I know it was on X. Xbox One, mother hubber. Bad books. You think you're bad? Uh-huh. Read these books. No, Mommy, not Clown Suit. Son of One Part 2. Son of One Part 2. It's so bad. A 2-time divorced parent. It's so great. No, Mommy, not the Clown Suit. I don't want to be alone forever. So fucking funny. Hey, Chronic, how you doing, my guy? Oh man, Kittens Make Great Jackets. Oh my God, Whacked. That's a great show. It was a fun video game. It's silliness. It tries to be a little edgy, and it's mostly just silliness. But the fake commercials are just fucking legendary. It's so good. So good. Highly recommend. 10 out of 10. Made the game. We had no idea. We were just playing the game, and then this commercial thing would happen. I'm like, what the fuck is this? Oh, it's so great. And then you could find all the, and then you had all the commercials in storage. Like once you unlocked it, it was something you can go back to on your game saves. Go watch the commercials again whenever you want. And then somebody, of course, uploaded them to YouTube at some point. And fucking God, so legendary. And they're bringing back, Sega's bringing back Jet Set Radio Future. I am really excited about that. I played that back on the X back in the early 2000s. Yet again, that's about the time when I stopped playing video games. So it's my only real point. Like Dead or Alive 2 was the last fighting game that I owned, which was awesome because my gal liked playing DOAX volleyball. So she liked buying the swimsuits and making fun of their pseudo lesbian ways and. So I'm just back on the couch getting drunk. I'm like, you go, girl. That's awesome. So, yeah, fucking the life, dude. Just the life. And life with the wife. It's awesome. But, yeah, Dead or Alive. The Gauntlet games were awesome. The first Fable, that was an excellent game. That was about at the end of my, that was pretty much the end of my console gaming life. Like real life jobby jobs started to become too aggressive. The 30-something lifestyle set in. I started, I had to drop something, and it was sure as fuck wasn't going to be D&D. So I let go video game console gaming so I would have time to play D&D, but we still kept our Xbox because gals still like to run around in bikinis and stuff and play volleyball. And it's the DOA 2 we would play together. We'd fight each other with that and all of our friends. We'd do round robin games like back in the arcade. Like back in the arcade, you'd have a line of people and everyone would put a quarter down on the edge of the machine. So when it was your turn, you'd pick up your coin, you'd put it in the machine, and you'd challenge whoever was still standing. It was just round robin, right? So, but God, like Killer Instincts, like when Killer Instincts and Mortal Kombat came out, and like the first Tekken, we already had that line going from Street Fighter games, right, and Hyper Street Fighter and all that goodness. Neo Geo, like Samurai Showdown and King of Fighters would get a little bit of it, but Mortal Kombat and Killer Instinct were by far just the most stacked out queue of players waiting to play. It's just that would like after dinner in college, like in the dorm region, there was an arcade. One of the dorms had an arcade and a restaurant sort of dining environment that we paid the nose through to not have to worry about keeping ourselves fed. But at the end of we'd all have dinner, and then before having to crack down on work or getting drunk or whatever it is your plans were for the night, go down to the arcade and burn $5 playing Killer Instincts for a couple hours. It's like there's a 10-man crew. Let's go hit a bowl. Go out into the parking lot, get smoked, come back in. It was fun. Good times. Those are the days, man. Arcades were badass. And there was a really good arcade about like 6 blocks off campus near the apartment that I got with my D&D friends. So we had basically a D&D den, and a couple of the girlfriends that we were hanging out with started playing D&D with us, and it actually went really well. It was funny because they basically stuck with us throughout college. It was fucking great. And this was back in 2nd edition days when we were just playing Planescape and Dark Sun all the time. Fun. Fable was very cool. There was the cheat mechanic that if you used the rage, not the rage, the expand spell that made you went from like a normal sized character to like a giant sized character. If you held down, I think it was if you held down the start button while that spell was cast on you, and you turned off the game. When you turned the game back on and reloaded your game from the save point, you would stay that way permanently. So that was a fun little cheat code to make your character like look like super like very like World of Warcraft big, you know. That was fun. But yeah, I love that game, and it was so. I'm really good at concentration memory games like show me, like there was like a gambling game fairly late in the game where it would have 9 objects and then 1 object would be missing, and you had to identify, you had like basically like 15 seconds to identify all 17 objects on screen and find which one was the odd one out. So you had, and they were all just, it was just a bunch of random, like a water bottle, a dagger, a quill. It was just a bunch of random shit just laying on a table. And whenever you started it up, it would randomize the position of all the stuff and which objects were there. And I got to a point where I was able to in the 15 seconds be able to remember the sequence of all the things and be able to consistently pull out the one item that was missing. It doesn't sound like that big of a deal, but just being able to fish out what objects are actually there and being able to go back and backtrack and no, that's what it was. It was, they would show you that's what it was. They would show you 9 objects, and then they would take it away. And then it would go 3, 2, 1, and then they bring all the objects back in a different position, but one of them would be missing. And you would have 15 seconds for you to be able to consistently remember which one wasn't there. And if you did it, you could win like 3 times the amount of gold that you put into it. So you make fuck tons of cash really, really fast. And I got really good at being able to be able to pin off which, sorry, there was 8 objects. They'd take it away, and then when they come back in, there'd be 9 objects. And you had to remember which is the new object that they introduced. It sounds like it's easy, but you have to put in quick RAM memory a list of 8 objects and then be able to process what that list was and then match up all the things that were on the list and then be able to know which one of those 8 things that you listed you aren't accidentally repeating again and what's actually what's actually been added there that wasn't there before. So it's actually more complicated than it sounds, but you only have 5 seconds. No. It was either 3 or 5 seconds to look at and memorize what was there, so that when they brought the new stuff in, you know what was different. And I got smart about it because I started having an alphabet system of naming off the items, and so I made a little, I don't remember what the song was, but I made a little stupid song that I would sing, and I'd be able to point to the things, and when I'd get to the item that was missing, I could clap my hands. And so when I'd go back in and they bring the objects back, I would remember what item it was I would clap and would just like reflexively sing the song. And when I got to the point in the song, it was like dagger, quill, book, coin. Like it was something like that, and like coin was missing. So I just sing the song and then make eye contact with each of the things that were actually there, and the thing that wasn't there, I just clap at that part of the song. And so when they bring the items back, I just sing the song again, and I would know which one I had clapped on. And at first I'd just write down which one it was that I was clapping to, and then I'd search through the items and just find it. But anyway, I was really proud of myself that I was able to figure that out and be able to, they'd give you more coins the less time you were given to memorize what was available there. And once I figured that out, I was able to max it out and made stupid. Anyway, no one gives a fuck. Whatever. Sorry. I was actually really impressed with myself that I figured it out. And because it's a shitload of money if you can consistently do it. And once I figured out that I could consistently do it, I made stupid amounts of bank in that game. Sorry, that was a really... Well, there was a lot of excitement about a whole lot of nada. So don't mind me here. I'm just being really impressed with myself. Everyone's probably like, yeah, uh-huh. And yeah, we all did that, Phil. But, you know, when you don't think you can do it and you figure out how you can do it, you feel pretty proud. And I think that's kind of where I'm coming from, so shut up. Yeah, Fable was fun. Yeah, let's give him some sinisterness. Man, I caught some Path of Exile 2 footage. They're introducing new mechanics for crossbows for this mercenary class. Crossbows are fucking sick, man. I am a big Path of Exile fan. I did spend quite a bit of coin on unnecessary stuff on that free to play game, and it was very much worth it. I played Path for maybe a year. I was a very big Sid Meier's 5, Civilization 5, League of Legends, and Path of Exile enthusiast. Never got into anything that Blizzard ever created. Never got into anything that Bungie created. But yeah, Sid Meier and Riot Games are pretty much my jam. And I played. Then Ravnica happened, and I realized that I could make D&D. I can make D&D games instead of painting. So I stopped taking clients for commissions and started doing D&D books instead. But yeah, I was doing MOBAs and computer gaming for a while after I dropped out of the console game scene. I picked up computer games for a while. And my gal was really into the MSN, like the MSN games, that you that you can get on your browser, like Bubble Bash and Bejeweled, all like those PopCap games, all that era, that like early 2000 odd years, like 2007, 2006. She was really into that stuff, so she would play bubble pop games and stuff on like Chips Challenge even. She got into, and while she was doing that, I'd be on a computer next to her and I'd be playing Path of Exile or Sid Meier or something, and we bullshit with each other. Fun times. How this is looking. Liking how it's looking. That feels pretty good. That looks better. I spy with my eye. I think it's something that's text. What's up? It's fine. It's just a game. It's a fun. It's one of those bullshit games that you gain all this power, and then you get thrown in jail, and they take every fucking thing away from you, and you have to rebuild everything. Such a dick move of a game. Such a dick move. Worst design ever. But other than that, I loved it. The second, like the third act, that'd be the third act. The third act was much less quality than the first two acts were. That feels pretty good. I think it looks pretty cool. Well, hey Shiner, how you doing, my guy? Building undead soldiers here for the Crystals of Mavar adventure. For those that have kind of dropped in over time, much earlier in the stream, towards the beginning of it, maybe like 20 minutes in, I finished the book cover that I've been commissioned to create, that I've been painting for the past, I guess it was 2 months, on Saturday mornings. That I finished that last night. So I spent a few minutes looking at it, so you guys can see the final piece. I don't know if I'm going to do like a victory lap short video or something, just to cap off the stream as, you know, finished, or just leave it be. Like, I should probably at least like spin a 5-minute video to build something, maybe like tomorrow afternoon or something, as a separate little standout dealie. Oh yeah, I'm going to be on for Martial Powers tomorrow. So with any luck, and I'll probably have none, we'll be able to finish both the Monster Slayer and the Swarm Keeper. So those are the last two conclaves we need to finish for the Ranger, and that will complete the entire set of all martial classes being converted to the Martial Power system. From there, all we have to do is keep tinkering with monster kits, so that each type of monster, like, we could potentially have like a unique set of powers for each individual creature or a variety of creatures in the monster manual. Shiner, was that you that suggested that? Somebody suggested that, and it sounded daunting at the time, and it still is. But that would be a really great follow-up piece, like a companion supplement to bundle with the martial powers, to express each creature in the monster manual, all the content, including like the Eldraine, even potentially the Eldraine monsters. If I can, no, I can't get Eldraine into DMsGuild shit. Damn it, because it's not actually on the DMsGuild. It's not actually a setting. It was just a set of monsters. But anything that's like street legal to be in DMsGuild, I can create a power kit for like ogres and ettins and hill giants and blah 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 blah. Build out a unique power kit for each and every one of them, depending on, you know, how I want to express them. That could easily be I don't think I'd do an illustration for every single monster, because that would be, well, honestly, I'd have to get some sort of Kickstarter project, like using Creative Commons, and then I wouldn't be able to actually reference any of the rules in the book, because the book is going on DMsGuild, because it's using color mana. So I can't publish it as a third-party thing. It has to be on the DMsGuild because I'm using color mana, which is a owned IP. There, that feels good. But I might be able to figure something out. But yeah, if I can figure out a way to be able to market it so that I could potentially earn back some 200 hours it's probably going to take for me to finish it, I could definitely do that. It's plausible. I can see how it's plausible. Now it's just a matter of is it practical? But practicality isn't always the reason why I do this. Like is it profitable? That's not always the reason why I do something. Most of the stuff that I build is because I have to do it, and I just find a way to monetize it. So this is why I phrase it that way. If I can find a way to monetize it, I'll do it. I just don't. It's just the path isn't obvious to me, which means that's not the project I'm supposed to be working on right now. If it's what I'm supposed to be working on, I would be practically dragged into it despite myself and succeed despite my worst own efforts, which, God's willing, this is pretty much how both Spelljammer and this Eberron adventure that we're creating is pretty much how both of those are flowing. Like, both of these projects are way beyond the scope of what I was capable of reliably producing previously. All these projects are really pushing my design limits, like my skill set, and I feel that I am succeeding. So that's awesome news. But that also tells me that I'm supposed to jump before I look when it comes to deciding on design ideas, because if it's something real, I'll just stay in flight. I won't ever land until the thing publishes, and then I'll just jump off another cliff, so to say. But yeah, that'll be tomorrow. That's my lunchtime tomorrow. That'll probably be, I think that's going to be like around 10. I want to say it's maybe 11 o'clock. No. Yeah, around 11 o'clock. I think that's what I'm going to do. Maybe 11:30, something like that. The earliest I can have lunch tomorrow, because my day job, is going to be 11. So, is 11. So I'm going to try to jump on as soon as I can after 11 o'clock as possible. So that's my intention, to have like maybe 90 minutes and kick through the, God's willing, be able to get through the 2 remaining conclaves, and for us to then be able to push on to the next piece. Super excited. God, Martial Powers just keeps getting better. I am really, really happy with it. I hope and pray that that the playtesting, that it's that what mechanical problems I don't currently see are easily revealed, and as a result of that, it just creates a better product. So I don't hope that it's good to go. I hope that whatever mistakes or whatever problems there are with it, that my team doesn't have at 20th level now. Like, they have no mana resource problems. They're totally fine. Of course they are. They're fucking 20th level. So, and I think the real test is going to be, like, at these lower levels, is the resources, does it feel good? Is what you're capable of accomplishing with what you have, with a when you have consistent access to short rests as 5e was actually intended to play, does it play well? So we have to build the campaign that is going to allow us to incorporate that cadence of at least 2 short rests a day plus a long rest, and to be able to move through a close, like a campaign, a good enough semblance of a campaign that people can drop in and drop out West March style, and not feel like they're missing anything. So, because I need to run it from level 3 to 7, basically. And that's going to take a while. It's going to take a few months to do that. So I need to have a campaign that people can opt in and out of, because I don't want to have the same playtesters for 4 months. I want to have a wide roster of people coming and going, so that I can always get fresh opinions about what they're experiencing, that they have like just snippet tastes of it. It's like, yeah, this played well, I didn't like that. This is the thing that I built. So we're probably gonna have to build a lot of pre-built, like pre-gen characters at different levels that showcase different action loops using different color mana systems from different guilds. Like build like a Rakdos, like a Dimir assassin, and like a Boros barbarian, that sort of thing. Like just build out different like power kits. What is the weapon called? What weapon? This one? What? A glaive? Is that what you're asking about? My favorite weapon is a Nagamaki. Hold on. A Nagamaki is it's a katana with a 3 foot haft, 3 to 4 feet typically. So you can use it as a pole weapon, but it has the same edge and slash and piercing capabilities that a katana has. Its length is long enough that you can block incoming shots the same as you can with a bow, but it's a 2 foot razor blade at the end of a stick. It's a fucking great weapon, man. It is such a great weapon. It's really good at grappling. You can because of the total length of it, you can use hanbo and bow staff grappling techniques of locking limbs. But half of that expanse is a blade. So when you're putting people like into arm locks, like locking up their arm with a stick, it's actually a razor blade that they have pinned between their forearm and their bicep. And if they're armored, you can wedge it in between, the joints, and then you can slash all the arteries, and eventually just make their arm go flop. So, and then they can't control their arm anymore, and you can use it as a handle to drive them into other opponents. But yeah, Nagamakis, man, those are fucking hostile weapons. They've got the reach that you want to be able to fight spearmen. They have the length of blade that you need to be able to work through people's armor, and they're heavy enough that you can take out horse legs with them. So they're really good close quarter weapons, like not like super close quarter, but like loose formation skirmishes. They're really great weapon, like Nagamaki and longbow. Fucking great combination. One of my side hobbies was medieval martial arts and weapons and war tactics. So it was fun. Learned a lot. Well, we eventually got into like gun safety and stuff. Interesting side note is that Japanese gun training is essentially the same tactics that you use with a sword, because unironically guns are piercing weapons, right? They punch holes through people. One of the primary things that you do with swords in Japanese culture is stab people. Slicing's good. Batting people on the back of the head with the flat of the blade, that's okay. A lot of times you're going to end up stabbing people. It's a good piercing weapon. And so most of the stances and guards and ways to properly control the weapon, the same tactics, almost even the hand placement is almost the same with guns as it is with a katana. It's just you slide the grip up from the katana held down here. You basically just slide up the grip so that you're two-handing you're reinforcing your grip on a pistol. So it's actually very similar. It's really interesting. But yeah, doing cool stuff like going up in the mountains and hanging out underneath waterfalls and shit. No, didn't do that. But it was really cool doing outdoor movement. Like we would go into like in the mountains of Flagstaff, there'd be inclines, like there'd be hills, like a mile of hill, like at a slope like this, and our job was to go down the hill as fast as possible, and the fastest way to do it is to jump. If you're on a surface like this and you jump away from the surface, by the time gravity takes control of you, you land in the exact same posture that you jumped off from, because jumping away from the hill pulls you down, and while the hill has a consistent incline, you can just perpetually just punch yourself off the side of the mountain, throw yourself down the cliff, and as long as you just keep your legs loose to soften the impact, you hit and then you punch. So you do like this, like you're doing this like leapfrog effect, but it's like not up and down, it's vertical, because you land at an angle like this and then you just propel yourself forward. So you hit, you jump, you hit, you jump, and you can clear a mile in just like less than a minute. It's ridiculous. Just go bump, 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 bump. There'd be like 20 of us just going bump, 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 bump. Like we'd take 2 hours to climb a mountain, and then we would just like bump, 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 bump. We'd just go down it in 10 minutes. It's ridiculous. It's super fucking fun. Ridiculous fun. And like we'd run around at night, and it was really interesting. The lower to the ground that you would get, the more the sky would feed ambient light to you. So if you're lower in elevation to your opponent, you can see your opponent coming, but they're looking down into the darkness of the ground and they can't see you. So it's a really interesting, like one of the things I have in the martial powers is what is it? Crouching. It's oh fuck, I forgot what it's called. Ground something ground, like ground movement, something horrible. Anyway, it was all that stance was inspired by the stealth and maneuvering training that I had a fun time messing around with when I was in my younger days in Phoenix. Take a field trip out to Flagstaff in the mountains and bring longbows and set up ranges and shoot at shit, and everyone would have a spear, and we'd take up 30, 40 feet in the woods and like use the trees to limit target maneuvering with reach weapons. So we'd have a mix of spear and knife, and we would try to use the terrain to block people's spears so that we'd be able to get in close past their spear line through the branches to be able to attack them at close quarter. It was really interesting stuff. It was always really just because of the type of stuff that I'm interested in, just exploring that space and getting used to like how these tactics work together. It was really interesting. I forget the names, but there was a number of different clans in Japan during this era of medieval clansmanship. Basically, different daimyos that had their own little separate city-states on the island, and they all developed different fighting styles that used the terrain that they were used to lean into. Like, we're mountain people, so let's develop mountain tactics that's going to allow us to be able to repel enemies more easily. And there was there was pirates. I think it was a Shoguryan. I forget. It was one particular school of martial arts was pirates. It was boat pirates. So all of their tactics were wide. It was like Crab Clan from Rokugan. It was wide slung stances, low gravity, and when you would move, you wouldn't pick up your feet. You would slide around the ground, and you were attacking people's legs more than their upper structure, because when they were attacking, it was assumed that you were going to be on a boat, and it was going to get rocked when another boat would ram into each other. It would scuttle everything. So if you were using tactics that were waiting for gravity to shift underneath you to attack somebody's stance to make them trip, and then you can stab them when they fall, that's an effective boarding tactics or anti-boarding techniques to use on boats. So there's like all these different styles and origins of combat that came out of Japan that were very specialized to the terrain or the circumstances that they were being used. Like there was an entire art of combat developed for palace defenders in the emperor's palace, because in court you weren't allowed to have your head higher elevation than the emperor. That's why everyone would walk around on their knees, and you got really good at moving fast on your knees to be able to scuttle around quickly. And there's an entire art school that takes everything from warfare on the battlefield and converts it down to you can't get off of your knees or you'll be killed. So all the defenders, when somebody would come after the emperor, all the defenders in the room also had to stay on their knees. So you were constantly fighting people that were disregarding that, getting up off of the ground to make an attack at whoever is in charge. And if you want to successfully defend, stay alive, and then not be executed for breaking the law, you have to be able to repel enemies even though you're sitting down or kneeling while they're at full feet. So everything that you're doing is attacking up into their frame and being able to use your positioning of your body to get inside of their space. So that all you can use are really short shotos or daggers to be able to get at people, or like gripping and clawing techniques to be able to grab them and bring them down to your level, literally. So it was really interesting. Anyway, yeah, it's fucking fascinating shit. It's really, yeah, it was a completely different. Like if you wanted to perform a coup and you're not following the rules, it's not, no one's going to acknowledge you. All the other property owners, all the other knights, like the daimyos, they would all rise up against the insurrector that wasn't following the rules of engagement that they'd set to be able to maintain a civil society. And that's how they maintain balance politically and in power with each other, by imposing these rules of behavior that even if you violate the rules during this coup attempt, it's like there's a decent chance that no one's going to respect you anyway, because you did it dirty, right? You cheated your way into it, and you did it in the fucking emperor's chamber. Like everyone saw you do this. This is the middle of court. You better have a serious lock on what you're thinking about doing there. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to lead anyone, because they're all just going to crab pot you. It's like, nah, you shouldn't have done that, dude. We don't respect you. And then you got 1,000 people trying to kill you all the fucking time. And you can't do any politics. You have to rely on these people for taxes and bringing resources to the capital. So because the feudal monarch is always completely dependent on their vassal supply chain to be able to keep them from just basically rotting in the city and getting diseased. They have to keep it moving. They have to keep the commerce moving to keep the circulation going, to keep the city from rotting. And so that's if you cut off support from all your supply chains by disrespecting the rules, then your coup is not going to be very successful unless you have enough firepower to be able to threaten those that would wage against you. Which is why they developed the rule that you can never live with your family. So the lord of the land would either be in court and their family would be back at the manor, or you would be at the manor defending your territory or collecting taxes, and your family would go back to, it would be basically held hostage and get lessons of like learn how to paint and poetry and all that noble crap. They imposed all that art stuff because they were holding your family hostage. So you've got a 7-year-old kid, an 8-year-old kid, a 13-year-old kid, a 17-year-old kid, and a wife. And they're all being held captive right now. So we better make this as pleasant an experience for them as possible. So we're going to raise, culture, educate, and train your children to succeed you. And you're going to collect taxes for us. And if you try to insurrect against me, we'll kill your bloodline. We'll just kill off all your kids. Who's going to succeed you? No one. You're alone. And now you're forgotten. So that's how they could control. That's how they could maintain control over their feudal society that way. It's very terrorist oriented. Honestly, it was a lot of trauma. But that's the price for power that they knew that they were going to endure. Like I was privileged to buy into this. I'm going to use these rules. I have my own aspirations. I'm going to use the rules of engagement inside of the system to try to create more power for myself to do better for my family than now, and hopefully for my province as well. Or unless you're using the province for your own gain, which happens. But you have to maintain productivity, otherwise the property is taken from you. So it's fascinating. It's really like being able. I gotta say, man, D&D made me interested in all that shit in general. But like, I ended up diving like way further into the topic than I thought I ever would, just in my own life. Like I learned a lot of stuff, just in general, that I didn't know that I would accumulate, and it just really, it's just fed into the kind of games I like to run. Like I love doing Dominion stuff like that. I think it's fucking fantastic. That's why I like BX, and why it's a shame to me that the mechanics for D&D have been getting better and better and better with each edition, but the depth of play, like the complexity continues to improve, but like the depth of the content is getting more shallow. So it's a sad observation, but that's why I'm so driven to create the content that I create, because I'm always trying to like expand the perspective about like what 5e can be, or like what you can do with game design, like what you can do with adventures, or like how can you make like these old school Dominion style ideas work inside of the modern game space. Like that's my primary interest, because I just that like having in-depth mechanics where a DM can like run a guild like in 2 or 3 minutes, be able to process what a full guild is, know what the resources are, know what kind of weaponry they have available to them, how much of a threat they can put up against your character at the level that they're at right now, and how frequently they can do it. Like that's a really good thing to have, because you can turn a dungeon into basically a standalone fortress and allocate resources to it using that command style system to be able to populate your dungeon, to use those Dominion mechanics against the players the exact same way that the players can use it against the creatures in the world. And like there's a real elegance to that, and I've never seen that presence in any other 4X style of gameplay or like Kingdom and Warfare sort of product for 5e. I've just never seen that level of interconnectivity using the same consistent mechanical system. Like this is all the stuff I'm talking about. I have on my Patreon right now. You can check it out if you want. It's the in command system. It's very rough and at points difficult to digest. It's not worded well. It's alpha draft. It's good enough for me to be able to build things with it, but it's not elegantly written yet. We put the project on hold because when we were building that project, we had just gotten into vehicle mechanics, and we had solid enough warfare army mechanics that we could change the sticker, change the skin of it and convert like a 20 by 30 unit of troops and convert that into a 20 by 30 tank or siege machine. And it's like, well, that fits Descent into Avernus perfectly, doesn't it? Well, okay, great. Well, let's use this military system to start developing convoys of infernal war machines to use as mass combat, Mad Max style, for you to be able to have convoys of competing infernal war machines, Mad Max style, fighting each other across the desert, while your characters at the 5-foot scale are basically leaping back and forth from truck to truck, trying to take over, knock out, or gain control of different strong points in the convoy. And it was a whole thing that we were developing. And then they said, hey, guess what? Spelljammer. And we're like, holy shit, these mechanics work in Spelljammer too. That's going to be much bigger than Descent into Mad Max, or Mad Max and the Mad Max into Avernus. Like that's not going to have nearly as much curb appeal than Spelljammer. So a year ago, a year plus now, we put the command project on hold, and I hard pivoted into the Spelljammer project. But when the Spelljammer project's done, I have to finish the Eberron project. Once the Eberron project's done, I have to do the 2024 Magic conversion. When I started all this, I didn't know there was going to be a new edition in 2024. It hadn't happened yet. So it's scuttling my timeline. So after I'm done with after I am done with the Eberron adventure, I'm supposed to be finishing up martial powers and then just moving on. But they're updating all the books for 2024, so now I have to redo all the color mechanics and like what's going to be in characters now that I can express using color mana and lean into that MTG feel. I want to do that since they're creating something new now. So that's like a pop-up. It's like, hey, you'll spend a year on that. Get ready. So by like mid 2025, I'll be able to actually get back to developing the command system again. And I'm praying that I understand. It feels like that was put on hold because I might have enough momentum as a creator and as an art streamer and stuff like that, 2 years from now, that I might have enough momentum that I could actually launch a Kickstarter, and there'll be enough people running around here that are willing to throw 15, 20 bucks at it to make it happen. So I could then take that command system and divorce it from Spelljammer and just publish it as an independent piece, either OGL, Creative Commons, or whatever it is that manifests by the time 2025 comes around, and I can start taking this idea seriously. But I'll have the Spelljammer campaign I'm about to build, and to a certain extent the Ravnica campaign that I'm about to play test. I can use both of those for some of the command mechanics that we've been developing. So I'll have a sort of tangential opportunity to play test where that system's going and feel all the bumps in it for the next 2 years. So when I actually get serious about kickstarting, it should actually be a really strong project that's going to be more realized, and we'll see how we can make it more elegant and flexible so that it's going to just be the obvious choice for guilds, kingdoms, and warfare. Campaign Dominion style, as opposed to anything else that's out there that it seems that everyone else's idea is I want to leave the 5e game space, and while I'm like, great, get out of here, the less people that are in there, the more my stuff is going to stand out as something reliable and good. So I'm actually really happy about the changes, because as disappointing as Wizards of the Coast is, I am 100% a fanboy for D&D, and I have been for 32 years, and that's not going to change. And every time something happens with D&D, it just expands the opportunity for me just to do more stuff, because I just want to create, and I want to create for the game that I love. And if Wizards isn't going to create a book that's so amazing, like in 3rd edition, I never thought about making content. There was a revolutionary book coming out literally every month when I was buying shitloads of books in 3e. There was so much happening with 3E. The idea of needing to create homebrew content was goddamn ridiculous, because everything they were creating was so cool. It's like, how can I integrate Incarnum into our current builds? How can I integrate True Names into our current builds? How can I integrate all the Psionic books into our current builds? How can I integrate Shadow Magic and the Book of the Nine Swords, the Martial Powers book from 3rd edition? How am I going to integrate all of that in my game? And it just got better and better. And then Savage Species. How can we start integrating creature templates and monsters into our builds? Because we were playing 22nd level, and we were playing Gestalt 22nd level. So we had a 22 level and a 22 level build on the same character. We could run 22 levels of creature templates and a 22nd level wizard up the other side and be just like a 40-foot demon tower that can throw lightning bolts and wish you out of existence. Like, that's a character. Like, it was fucking insane. We were taking the leadership feat so we could get a cohort that we would be able to convert into a mana battery that would be able to fuel us with more resources. It was pretty crazy. It was crazy, the kind of stuff that we were able to pull off using epic level campaign books, Savage Species, Gestalt mechanics, and just the shitload of stuff that WotC put out for 3E. It never crossed our mind that something was missing, even though I was getting paid to illustrate books that were creating new content for 3E. I would look at it, and very little of it that I ever go is like, yeah, I need this in my game. Very, very little of it. There was maybe 3 books from third edition that were made by third parties that I valued enough to actually incorporate into my game and use as inspiration for different things that I build in 5e. And so 5e is completely different. Like there's 5e is so shallow in narrative, and has so the term is called ludonarrative, when the mechanics of your game complements and embellishes the narrative of your game. And I don't think Wizards is very good at doing that at all. And so that's why like the color mana thing is such a big thing to me, because color mana is such an expressive, literally visual style of explaining magic in a world that's supposed to be saturated in magic. It's just such a perfect complement to what D&D is supposed to be. I'm like, God, if this doesn't exist, I have to do it. And I never would have thought of doing it if Wizards didn't cheese out on diving into MTG as a setting. And that's when I realized, and as I kept getting deeper into the design space, I'm like, wow, Wizards isn't trying to push the limit. They're just trying to build a standard vanilla template that can remain reliable. And it was, until they started having really shitty design decisions, like really like Twilight cleric level bad decision making and design. They've lost something between 2014 and now, and it corroded over the past 3 years basically. And so that's like I have ideas, I need to do them, and that's how we get to where we are now. So Bob's drunk. I think I'm done with this guy. He's looking pretty good. Yeah, I could very easily just come across with a color drop behind him, and the feet's a little thin. I think I'm gonna call it done for the day. I'm gonna get some sleep. Hopefully, the energy moves through my body a lot when I lay down. It can be pretty intense. Sometimes it keeps me up all night. It's like you don't think you're sleeping, but then like suddenly your perspective shifts. It's like, oh, I was actually asleep, but I was dreaming I was awake. I actually think that's like very low, low altitude astral projection, where you're actually dephasing from your body and your body's getting at least some nominal rest, but your consciousness remains aware, but you're just staying tethered inside of your body. I've projected a few times in my life. I'm too skittish and excited about the prospects of it to be able to sustain the effect. I knock out my own concentration out of just sheer excitement, which tells me that this isn't something I need to pursue. But I was successful enough with it that I was able to get external verification from friends that I was legitimately experiencing something that was happening. The example that I use is that when I was my friend Mark would pick me up to go to Missouri, to go to Mizzou. I was talking about this earlier about gaming with my college friends when I moved back to St. Louis. God bless him, he'd pick me up and bring me back to college town. It was a 2-hour drive, so he'd drive 2 hours to grab me, 2 hours to come back, and I knew he was going to pick me up that day. I lived on a ranch in the middle of goddamn nowhere, and so there was about a mile of road that would lead to the house, and then there was it was a 2-story house with a finished basement. I lived in the basement because I don't like the light. It was a finished basement. I had a fireplace in my bedroom. It was so badass. I was so pimp. But So it's impossible to hear or be aware of a car coming down the road to turn into the house. It's impossible. But while I was projecting, I was above the house, and I saw his car come down the road to the driveway. So I ended my projection, got up, and went to the door and opened the door for him. When he got there, and he says, "Phil," and I'm like, "I saw you coming." And then I told him that same story. He's like, "Wow, that's pretty fucking legit." So I've never questioned it. It's like, it was such an obvious, easy, immediately verifiable event that happened. And then I started having things visiting me. Shadowy creature, shadowy humanoid forms that would drip out of shadows when I was projecting. Like, right as I tried to get out of bed, like, these things would, like, slide out of shadows and be like, "Hey, what's going on?" I'm like, "Oh, no. I don't ever need to know what you are." So that was the last time when a guy showed up basically in a trench coat and a fedora as a shadow, hanging half out of a pillar looking at me, and another time like a little inky thing crawled up my chest. I'm like, "Hey, I don't need to be involved with this shit. I'm out." So, I mean, that was some crazy stuff. But I have to believe that whatever the fuck that was as relevant as the confirmed driveway proof that I had. I mean, I can't imagine a more immediately verifiable confirmation that, is this shit real? Yes, it is, and the CIA knows it. So, it is what it is. But I've had a particularly interesting set of experiences to shape my beliefs and my philosophies about what I'm willing to believe in and what kind of proofs and honestly just cocky confidence it creates for me. Like, never having to question that when you die, you're going to have a fucking fantastic time, regardless of who you are, because you were playing a role that you specifically were assigned to. It's not like Hitler is evil. Hitler, whatever soul was Hitler, was playing a very evil role. Like, he was very good at his role. He is to be commended for whatever it is that the universe needed from that chaos of happening. He played his part, and he played it perfectly. So he too is honored. It doesn't make sense to people that believe that people should be punished for their deeds, and it's hard to contest that. Like, if you're a danger to society, you need to be put away until you can't hurt society anymore. But I don't necessarily need to kill you, because if there is something evil inside of you, if I kill you, you're just dumping it back into the mill. You should let those things stay on Earth as long as possible. So even out of just sheer fucking boredom, they consider a different way of existing, that you can help whoever it is that's suffering through that life has the opportunity to never have to visit it again. You're actually doing them a favor by not killing them, regardless of how much we hate them. But that's just the cycle of hate expressing itself in a new generation. So I've got opinions, and a lot of them are driven around me having no right of being alive, surviving impossible experiences, and witnessing shit like that. It's like, I've had way too many experiences in my life for me to ever question that what is happening in your life is important for where you're going in the future, and that if it's scary, that's great, because you're just learning, you're just allowing things that can't feel fear to know what it feels like to be afraid. And that's the greatest gift you can give something that all that it wants is to hug you. It's like, I don't know what it is to be afraid. I need to feel it. How can I properly take care of you if I can't understand how scary this is for you? So they have the opportunity to experience that through you. It's like, God, this is fucking terrifying. Let me see what I can do to help you understand what is happening to you, so you can see the wisdom of its experience. And we'll have a six-pack waiting for you when you're done. Fucking cool. I mean, you can believe me if you want to or not, but these are like very core philosophies that drive the decision making that I do, and lets me to create the things that I create, because it's the same source that's feeding me ideas about how to make games. Seriously, it was a conversation. It's like, hey, we're going to do things with you for the rest of your life. Is there anything that you might want to be able to do that we can help you as like a payment? And like, I want to make books. I want to be a great artist.
I want to be a gamer for the rest of my life. I want to be able to enjoy my hobby and and have a reason to stay alive for however long I can be alive. It's like, okay, how about this? I'm like, holy shit, this is awesome. I painted that. I can paint in color. I can't see color, but I can fucking paint in color at a level good enough that people will pay me, will wait in line to pay me to paint a color picture for them. The amount of swagger that creates for myself and faith that the universe absolutely wants me to succeed. It's like, I want to give you the biggest challenge I can possibly think of. Here's my dream. And like, okay, let's figure it out. Hey, we have something for you. Like, you're shitting me. It's like, nope. Nope, here, try this. I'm like, okay, what do I need to do? Just get out of the way and let us do whatever it is that we want through you. I'm like, okay. So like what? It's like, yeah. All you gotta do is just relax and just enjoy. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? It's like, no, seriously. We really need people that are willing to do this for us. So we're gonna like make it as easy on you as possible. We're gonna give you everything you ever dreamed of. And there's gonna be a fucking party for you when you die. If you're willing to let us take a little control now and again and push some weird signals out. I'm like, this is really weird. It's like, well, this is the gig. So this is me. I'm doing the gig right now. And that's my timer. So that's it for today, guys. I went down a strange tangent today. Thanks for taking the trip with me. I think I need to make this guy's arm just a little bit bigger. And I know I mashed on the details here a little bit, but this is at a point now where I can just easily just drop color in behind it and finish it off. Some of the other, like the sturge that we built today, I love the sturge we built today. Good job, us. Let me stitch this junk up into the white. There we go. Here's the sturge that we ended up finishing with. I'm actually very happy with this. We had our inner tardigrade channeling through us on that one. That's not quite good enough for me to start colorizing. I could probably drop in color, but like the abdomen isn't quite done, right? But it said be done with me now. And I was like, okay. Like this guy, he's looking pretty goddamn good. Revenant's scary as shit, yo. This guy looks hoss, man, but there's a lot of detail I can still do on it. Like when I dive in close, you can see the level of detail that's like not there. Here, check this shit out. Like I can sharpen all this up and have much better detail than it currently has. So when we come back to this piece before we colorize it, I can redo all of this frame to sharpen and crispen it up, right? See, crisper now. But I can use this faded backdrop as like a shadow, as like a shadow texture. So I'll drop color in underneath this back lot, keep this faded, have this more clean line. See, that's much cleaner. That's much cleaner line than what's there currently, right? It's a finer, it's just a smaller pixel that we're using. So I'll be able to layer this in and then drop in the color and have a pretty intricately detailed piece. And it should only take like maybe another hour of detail work like this that I'm doing right now. And then like maybe a half hour or so to drop color in. And then maybe like another hour or two for us to merge this color fade, the sharper lines and the color backdrop into just a single creature. I've done that on numerous other projects that you can see on my streams, but when I finish these last few sketches, that's the next thing that we're going to be doing. So we got the whites done. So we still have a living grave and a plague oak. Two custom creatures that we created for this adventure. Those are the last two things that we need to do. So we'll do those we'll probably get to those and done on those on Monday. And then we're going to float back around to the beginning of the list here. And then we're going to do all that detail work like I was just doing for that Bone Knight creature. So we're going to go through, we're going to do the upgrade detail work on the ones that still need it. And then once we sweep through with the details, then we'll drop in the color. And then we'll merge the color into the line work so it becomes its own, it's just a single solid piece. But it'll have the detailed line art that I could offer the line art versions of them, like for, supplements or something, for like $1. Like $1 a piece or whatever. Grab them all for 15 or whatever. and then I can do the detailed color work and sell each of those for like 5, and like get all of them for like 60 or whatever, you know, whatever. So, but there's all the creatures, there's all the NPCs, there's a shitload of tokens. There's all the maps that you can use as their own standalone things if you want. There's a lot of utility that we're building in this thing for people to be able to really, like, I can tear it apart and sell a lot of stock art. I said stop. Thank you. So that's what we got on tap. So that's what we'll come back and actually I'm going to conceal this and let's pop open this white. Let's see if this becomes my my card for the end of it. But that's it. I'm out of here, guys. I really appreciate y'all. You're fantastic. Thanks a lot for hanging out with me and letting me rant for ever. So hopefully, if this is new to you guys, hey, I'm here 6 days a week. Check me out. I'll be back tomorrow morning, and I'll be back tomorrow afternoon, and I'll be back Saturday morning. So